At number 5, we got Trash Generator by Melos. If you don't know who Melos is, they are a math rock band. If you don't know what math rock is, it's basically the punk cousin of progressive rock. I love some math rock groups out there. Hella, fantastic group. Math core bands, Dillinger Escape Plan, oh my god, I love them. I see this criticism of looking at math rock as just like, we're playing super fast and crazy is a little misguided. Because just because groups go from loud to soft and a composition differently doesn't mean that one of the groups doesn't know how to use dynamics. It just means they use dynamics differently for an entirely different purpose. I see math rock as kind of braggadocious. Progressive rock is like this weird kind of introverted, we're going to do some soul searching and try to unlock the secrets of the cosmos type music. Whereas math rock basically is almost kind of like Dada-esque. It's almost anti-art. No one can play the drums this fast. See these synchronized stops? Bet you can't do that. And what's ironic is that the math rock was originally created to introduce a punk aesthetic of like a no-care attitude into progressive rock, which, let's be honest, can be a little bit pretentious sometimes. But by making the music so fast and so frenetic and so crazy on the drums, they kind of inadvertently made math rock pretentious as well. Bet you can't do that. What, noodle on the guitar with 30-second notes? Ooh, yeah. I mean, you're not worrying about keys, so I bet I could actually do that. And coming from the punk rock background, the idea of the music is to not sugarcoat the music, to be as aggressive and direct as possible. It makes the music very crazy, and at times, almost unlistenable. Where's that line? When does a prog rock snob say, that's too crazy, that has nothing to do with music theory? And when does a math rock snob elitist say, that's too mainstream, I could hear that on the radio? Where is that line? Well, that line is defined by one band, in my opinion, Melos. I discovered these guys back around the summer of 2015. Their 2017 release, Trash Generator, is simultaneously their craziest work whilst being their most palpable, being the one that I feel like could reach the widest audience out there. To be honest, while I love a lot of Melos material, I was never a fan of their full albums. I felt like to some extent, albums like Patagonian Rats and X'd Out delved into the obnoxious doodling that I detest in math rock that I was describing earlier. This doesn't happen with Trash Generator. It doesn't sound like noodling. It doesn't sound improvatory. It doesn't sound like they didn't know what they're doing. How to describe the sound of this album? Look at the title, Trash Generator. But note this, there are only 3 members in the group. A guitarist and bass player that play keyboards individually between the two of them. So you got 1 guitar, 1 bass, 1 drum set for the drummer, and 2 keyboards, all manned by 3 dudes playing simultaneously for the sole purpose of making music that simulates the experience of being digitally eradicated before your very ears. Or think Talking Head meets Tool and you'll kind of get the idea. This album is palpable because of its flow, because of the compositions, and the catchy hooks that Melos is able to do certainly help with that. They're able to do these very crazy math rock inspired, insane guitar riffs with insane time signatures and insane fast pace, but they always had an ear for, well, we gotta have someone whistling the melody at some point, and that's phenomenal. I commend them perfectly for that. Why not higher on this list? It's got its own vibe. I have to be in the right state of mind to listen to this album. I have to be in the right place to listen to this album. This isn't just something that I'm gonna pop on heavy rotation. But out of all the albums that came out on 2017, this one had a very profound impact because I still remember putting the song System Preferences to go pick up my girlfriend from work, and as I'm driving out to pick her up from the mall, I'm just like, what am I listening to? This is insane. What am I listening to? Favorite tracks from Trash Generator by Melos, number 5 in my top 10 of 2017. System Preferences, Your Friends, Dire Lanes, Men's Shirt, A Universal Gonk, which has a killer saxophone solo, by the way. And of course, Trash Generator, I'm not a bad guy. At number 4, we got No One Ever Really Dies by N.E.R.D., otherwise known as Nerd, the brainchild of Pharrell Williams. Bouncy, gummy, energetic, frenetic yet simple, all words to describe this album. If you want to go more in depth with how this album sounds, imagine going to a virtual dance club in a Final Fantasy-esque world and all of a sudden you start tripping on acid. That's this album. It's insane. The beats, the grooves, and the rhythms are all good, but because of their synthetic nature, at times the album can feel a little boring because it almost feels predictable. While crazy and cool, I wish Nerd would have added acoustic instrumentation to the mixes on these tracks like they were known for before this album. While the entire album being created in a DAW with drum machines, synth basses, and DI guitars with virtual amps, it's lacking an organic quality that would make tunes like 1000 and Deep Down Body Thirst more entertaining to an audience like me. That being said, I cannot imagine tunes like ESP or Rollin' Sevens not made without the insane drum sound, triggered samples, and productions that they have them on ready. So this album walks this weird line between being so frenetic and just using these triggered samples where it's like, what? You're just like, what's going on? But at the same time, it's so tightly created rhythmically that you can't help but either headbang or jump or dance to it because it's just that good of a production. Pharrell Williams killed it with the production on this album, and while maybe the songwriting is not that great, just for the sounds alone that he was able to achieve, I put this album as number 4 in my top 10 of 2017 list. That, and I can throw this album on anytime, anywhere. Favorite tracks: Secret Life of Tigers, Lemon, Lightning Fire Magic Prayer, and ESP. You got energy, but you don't want to use it? At number 3, we have Greatest Hits by the band Remo Drive. There's some local boys making original rock music that's catchy, yet authentically sincere. So what's not to love? I also have a personal kind of relationship with these guys. Eric Paulson and Stephen Paulson, brothers. They also went to the same music college that I went to, McNally Smith, which I mentioned in the South by Southwest video. So we got to hang out, we had some lunches together, stuff like that. Good, warm-hearted, sincere musicians, and just chill dudes. And the fact that they're getting all this success with this album and their subsequent EP afterwards when they signed to Epitaph, it makes me freaking happy, man. Eric Paulson, as a singer and lyricist, I believe that's where he excels the most. His guitar work isn't fancy, but then again, it doesn't have to be. It's serviceable and fun while also having a striking classic sound to it that leads me to believe these guitar lines are going to be played in guitar centers for years to come. The production of this album is my only gripe, but ironically, with their new EP, Pop Music, being so clean and heavily produced, I'm not sure which version I like more. On the one hand, their EP shows their versatility, but on the other hand, it loses that edge that Greatest Hits has with that lo-fi recording. On the other hand, though, the EP sounds way cleaner and more professional than the album. At the end of the day, I believe Remo Drive is making rock music inspired by punk, so the audio quality is not really that important. But other than that, I would say the point overall with Remo Drive is delivery, and the lyrics that Eric Paulson writes are truly introspective and retrospective at the same time. He speaks about relatable feelings instead of relatable experiences, and then the experiences that he's pinning in these songs as a result become relatable. Favorite tracks: Art School, Crash Test Rating, You're Killing Me, Eat Shit, Trying to Fool You, and Name Brand. At number 2 of my top 10 albums of 2017, we got Damn by Kendrick Lamar. There's no way you could have missed this album. It's everywhere. I listened to it. I didn't love it the first time. I actually was like, I think Kendrick made a bad album. At first. To Pimp a Butterfly is going to be the album that will be recognized as his artistic and creative achievement. Damn is going to be the album that we're going to look at as his crowning achievement in pop culture. If we were to compare Kendrick Lamar to the Beatles, in my opinion, To Pimp a Butterfly is his Sgt. Pepper's. It's an album that changes the game, and on top of that, being a complete, almost gear shift on what he was doing creatively. Like, with Good Kid, Mad City, that's like his Revolver, the album before Sgt. Pepper's. This is like, damn, this is good, but we know there's like one thing more, and Sgt. Pepper's, like To Pimp a Butterfly, is that one thing more, and it's so out of left field and so unexpected. It's poetry, it's jazz, it's all melded together to craft this really brilliant story that somehow narratively fits through all these vignettes. It's insane. To Pimp a Butterfly is insane, and Damn is insane too, how Abbey Road is insane. I would say more people, when they think about the Beatles, they recognize the Abbey Road album cover. They don't think about the Sgt. Pepper's album cover in a broader sense. I think that's the same way with Kendrick Lamar. When we think about his music, when we look back on Kendrick Lamar like we look back on the Beatles nowadays, we're going to think of Damn like Abbey Road, where it's like, oh, this is an incredible album. And yeah, for sure, it's something that's important. It's a staple in hip-hop culture. But out of everything that he did, To Pimp a Butterfly was the more important album, in a sense. However, I appreciate how Kendrick was super experimental, as well as how mainstream he was able to adapt that style with Damn. It's like he took the crazy, outlandish experimentation that was happening with To Pimp a Butterfly and narrowed it down to where it could fit on the pop radio and not seem out of place and be like, oh, damn. While super creative as a piece of layered and nuanced work, it is disguised through production and song structure as just another mainstream hip-hop record. And that makes it super accessible, and therefore that's why I really like this album and dig it. You don't have to understand the underlying messages, stories, themes in order to enjoy the work. You can enjoy it just as the work on its own, and any album that has that duality, in my book, is an instant classic. Much like how Abbey Road is going to be an instant classic. Or is an instant classic. Jesus. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. And it won a Pulitzer Prize? That's insane, and that's why this album's going to be remembered. But it's not my number one. There's a different album in the hip-hop categories that was nominated for Hip-Hop Album of the Year at the Grammys that lost. That is my number one that I think should have won. I also feel like another reason why Damn is not my number one is because I feel like to a certain extent it seems misdirected and preachy. Art doesn't have to be perfect, but I feel like Kendrick's previous works were so much better and consistent because there was a heavy editorial process that came after the album was mixed down. With To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick had years to basically kind of narrow down the production and the message and the lyrics and listen to it over and over again and be like, okay, this is the album I want to put my foot forward with. But then Damn happens, and Damn, he gets it out in like, what, 3 months? The Heart Part 4, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's the album. With Damn, it was apparent that Kendrick was rushing to get this released. So I will say it was 90% there from being at the top, but it's not my number one because if he would have just gave it another year, let it simmer, go back, listen to the messages, think more about how can I make this creative dual running forwards and backwards storyline more consistent, it would have been the Dark Side of the Moon of our generation. It would have blown everyone's freaking minds, and it's already sold billions of copies. But regardless, Kendrick made his bank. It's an awesome album. I like it a lot. It's my number 2, but not my number 1. Favorite tracks: DNA, Triple X, Element, and Duckworth. Especially Duckworth. I think Kendrick made a phenomenal closer with that track. And my number 1 album of 2017, Tyler the Creator's Scum, Flower Boy. This is easily Tyler's most mature album. Going back to his stuff with Bastard and Yonkers, you hear that stuff, it feels like a 4chan and Reddit post. And then here comes Flower Boy, and it's a perfect blend of the two styles of his nature that lead to that Odd Future sound, which is jazz meets pop melodies infused with hardcore gritty hip-hop beats and delivery. And it has the best flow of any Tyler album, in my opinion. Track to track, it goes into each other, it doesn't stop. Each track is perfectly where it needs to be in the track list. Who Dat Boy is perfectly where it needs to be. I Ain't Got Time is perfectly where it needs to be. Boredom is perfectly where it needs to be. I don't dip out in interest like I did with other albums on this list. It kept my attention for all of its 46-minute runtime. And if nothing else, this is the first time I felt like I was experiencing genuine truth from Tyler. This is a guy that made up characters. His whole albums had conspiracy theorists online talking about, well, what's the story? Where's it going to lead to? Who's Troncat? Who's Wolf? How do they all connect? Tyler comes out with Flower Boy after Cherry Bomb, which, let's be honest, Tyler, you did a really experimental thing with that album, but it just didn't connect. Cherry Bomb is like the foul ball. You're up at the plate, and you killed that. You swung it, and holy shit, the pop! And it's echoing out all through the stadium. People know, oh, that swing meant business. But the ball just went just a little bit over, and whoop! It's now off and to the left, and it's going to the side, and it's not a home run. Flower Boy was where it connected. It was a grand slam. It works in a way like Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf, where that album was supposed to like simulate a car ride from California all the way to the Desert Palms, where, you know, Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme, you know, started that scene. This feels like a car ride from, you know, Tyler, wherever he's at, back to his home in his McLaren. And it's the full journey. It's the trip. I love this album. I think it should have won the Grammy. Kendrick Lamar, he killed it this year. He needed it for last year, so I get that. You know, the Grammys being like, okay, we're sorry. Here's your Grammy, Kendrick. But fuck, man, Tyler put in work with this. And being a fan of Tyler was one of those hip-hop artists that broke me out of my rock and roll. The only good music out there is rock and roll music. And anything that uses electronic instruments is bullshit. Tyler broke that spell for me. Childish Gambino broke that spell for me. Chance the Rapper broke that spell for me. Being someone following him ever since the days of Yonkers, going back to check out Bastard, was there when Wolf came out, and then got disappointed with Cherry Bomb. When Flower Boy came out and I heard that thing front to back, it blew my mind. At the end of the day, we got a genuine album about genuine emotions and feelings from a guy that most people recognize and know as a dude who loves to troll. So do yourself a favor, even if you're not a hip-hop fan, even if you were like how I was between the ages of, I want to say, 12 and 16, where I was like, no other music except rock music. Listen to Flower Boy, you're going to enjoy it, I guarantee it. My favorite tracks, Forward, killer intro, fact that he got Can to be a featured guest star on that, nice, Tyler. Who Dat Boy, November, Garden Shed, which is beautiful, and I Ain't Got Time. I Ain't Got Time, honestly, for my opinion, is my favorite track of all time. And that is my top 10 albums of 2017. A lot of rambling, a lot of love of music, a lot of hip-hop, a little bit of rock, and I hope you all enjoyed. If there's an album on here that you haven't checked out, I'm going to post some links in the description so you can check out some of the tunes. Throw these artists your money. They need it. It's the way they make their bread and butter. Help your local artists. Check out their shit. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. You can check out my Facebook, band's website, and everything else with some links at the bottom of the screen, wherever it might be, down here somewhere. I got a couple of extra videos that I want you all to check out. There's the original South by Southwest video, which will be posted, I believe, somewhere to the right or the left, I'm not sure. That will be about, you know, so it's another vlog like this, but a little bit more just narrative heavy, talking about my time at South by Southwest. The cool shit that I did was setting up the stage at the Blackheart, meeting bands like Chicano Batman, and just all around having a general fantastic time. That was in 2017, so again, yeah, way late, I know. And another video you all should check out, really, truthfully, if you can, it would be awesome. There's my music video for the song Hopeless, which came out on my first EP that I wrote and recorded when I was 15. I finally was able to get the video out when I was 19, and now I'm 22, and we got the full-fledged album coming out very soon. Debut album, completely different tracks from the stuff that's on the EP. I hope that you enjoy the music, because if you like what I'm doing with Hopeless, I feel like you're going to love even more what I'm going to be doing with Hallelujah Hysteria. So, hang tight, y'all. That album's coming soon. Once again, my name is Ethan. The Allies is always watching. Hope you're listening.